Hey guys, I just wanted to record a quick video just going over some of the stuff I did like as a complete beginner getting into art because personally the thing that kept me out of getting into art for a very long time was that I just didn't really know where to start, and I didn't want to like waste my time doing stuff that wasn't going to be effective for me. So that's why I'm making this video, just to share with like complete beginners some things that they can do and like some advice I would give them for starting out. But the first thing I would say is that, um, well, the very first thing is that I didn't realize that Procreate, I think I deleted a lot of my like early stuff, but I'm just gonna show you guys like some of the stuff I was doing at the very beginning. So what I would do is just open up a page, and then I would move this to dark so it's not like blinding me. And then I would just pull out whatever, it doesn't really matter what you choose. And I would just draw, I'm sorry, this is black. I would just draw boxes, different perspectives. And this alone was very difficult as a beginner because I would have to like spend a lot of mental energy just even thinking like, okay, the beginning box, okay. Now, what is this line going to do for the box? And then if I draw this line, then what do I do over here and over here? And I honestly didn't even know, like, I would draw like a single line and be confused. As embarrassing as that is, like, I didn't know what to do with like this. Like, now it's real easy to like, to like just think about like what I want to do with the box. I mean, it's kind of a boo-boo box, but you get the point. But I'm sorry. I just got comfortable really just drawing stuff like that. And this was again very difficult for me because I would have to think like, okay, um it seems like a trapezoid. Trapezoid right here, okay. Perfect box right here. Box, trapezoid. And it wasn't very like intuitive to me of like what exactly I was doing. Now it's a little bit more intuitive on like what I want to get out of the boxes. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's basically what I did starting out. And obviously this wasn't like all I did. I did other things as well. And personally, I didn't really like have a strict plan on what I was doing. I would just find like little art tutorials online and just copy them really. And it didn't really matter just because it was just fun for me. I didn't have like any strict guide on what I was doing. I'm sure maybe it wasn't the most effective thing, but to me, art was just supposed to be fun. It wasn't like a very serious, like sit down study kind of thing. Eventually, it started to turn more into that, but that's still fun for me personally. Um, I wanted to find like one of the early ones, which I can't seem to find. Oh, oh, here they are. So this is my. Did I delete? I did delete it. Huh. This was like my very first ever drawing, which isn't even my drawing. This is literally like I found it online and just followed the tutorial, and it was just the perspective tutorial. Which, if you're like a complete beginner, perspective is just like there's this vanishing point right here, and everything not everything. It depends on like where you move the perspective, but everything in this room, at least in this specific example, is following this vanishing point. And then once I learned how to do that, I would just have fun with it and just do whatever I wanted because once I figured out how to do that, then like a whole new realm of possibilities opened up for me, and that's what I would do. Oh, here are the first ones. So here's this one. I think this one was copied online too. This I don't think this is mine. This is definitely not mine. I forgot what tutorial I watched to get this, but same concept. It's just all here, perspective lines going to boom. I mean, this is supposed to be like well, you can't really see because of the side of the buildings, but they're supposed to be following this line over here. Maybe not this one. I don't know. But same thing with this one. This one I just copied online as well, and this one is a little different because it is, let's see, 2 point perspective. So you can see the guidelines that I used here that are all following this line over here, this vanishing point. And this took a lot of mental effort as well because it was the first time doing it. So that's like the main thing is that it's not going to be difficult forever on the things you're doing. Like for me, before making this, like each line like didn't make sense. They were just lines on a 2D plane, and I didn't understand like what the purpose was of each line and what they were doing. So the main thing for like a beginner is just like don't really like worry that like you're bad right now or it takes a lot of mental effort to really think about what you're doing because that's how it's going to be at the beginning, really. It's like, learning a new language. You have to first learn the letters, and at the beginning, like it takes a lot of mental effort for you to even like remember that the letter A, for example, has these lines that go this way, and it takes you time to recognize that. And then there's lowercase, and then the sound it makes, and it takes a lot of conscious effort for you to even um, really have it. It takes time for it to go into your subconscious, right? And eventually, it's so ingrained into your subconscious um, that you can form sentences and ideas pretty quickly and communicate with others. And, it's a whole complex thing, but it took time to start from the very like basic core fundamental where it took a lot of effort for your brain to think about until your brain started like actually grouping what you learned and it all comes together so much quicker. Um, and I'm taking you through some like, I'm not going to go through everything I did up to this point, but here are just like some of the beginner stuff I did. I did a lot of copying at the beginning just because it was fun for me and it kind of got down like the muscle memory and like getting used to the lines and seeing things from a 3D perspective and putting it onto a 2D perspective. Like, for example, these I would just find random objects in my room and then try to replicate them onto a 2D plane. Same thing here. And if you're a complete beginner, don't worry that you can't do stuff like this because it took me a little bit to finally like be able to get these shapes down. And like even this, for example, like it took a lot of mental effort to think like, okay, like how am I going to make the top part of the desk look like it's overlapping the bottom legs, and then where do I put this line and that line, and where's the perspective, and blah 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 blah. Like it was kind of difficult for me, but at the end when I did it, it was pretty satisfying to see me actually like be able to look at something and put it into a 2D plane. Um, yeah, some more stuff over here. These were mainly like me practicing making shapes and then just throwing them together because that's another thing. Learn how to make shapes pretty well and like easily. So I thought it was kind of boring, but it is pretty useful to know is like putting shapes into perspective or making like 3D shapes, just like cylinders, boxes, um, triangles, and then being able to rotate them. You could do a lot of things with these at the beginning, and it's going to help you later on as well. And what I would basically do is once I have those shapes down, I would I really wish I didn't like delete my early stuff. Um, like this one, for example, this is like the wheel is I'm gonna get it wrong what what shape this is, but you see what shape it is. Um, and then the cylinders for this, and it's just kind of like a cylinder, rectangle-y. I'm sure there's a name for the shape, I just don't know what it is. And then this is just like a rectangular prism. Yeah. And then all these little shapes right here. So basically, this is just like a concoction of like 3D shapes that you can put together at the beginning. So yeah, don't skip the the shapes. And then other thing I did, which this was just literally like this isn't me. This was I would just find like the skull and the raven I just saw in a room, and I decided to copy it down. And then all these other ones were literally just like my sister's drawings on her wall that I just copied down. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, honestly. Obviously, don't take credit for the work, but I still think it's good practice to know how to do that. And this was me just trying to draw this was like my very, very, very first thing I did was you can see the shapes, like the cone or the cylinder here, and then there's like another kind of cylinder shape right here for the water bottle, and then another cylinder here, and then another cylinder kind of right there, and then a sphere, and then some cylinders here with like a little cut for the nails, and another cylinder right here. So kind of to wrap up is at the beginning you everything kind of seems very difficult and you really don't know like what direction you're going in, and that's okay. Eventually you kind of get the groove of like what you're doing, and it all starts to become a lot more clear, and it may not seem like you're moving anywhere, but it's as long as you're moving or doing anything really art related, you are moving forward. You may not see it, but a lot of basic stuff starts to become a lot more clear for you, and then you can start putting things together a lot faster. And I also remember that a lot of people you see online have been doing art for some of them their whole lifetime. So it really is like their second or third or whatever. They're like their second language to them, to where they don't really think about the stuff they're doing at a basic level. Like they don't think about how to put this 3D shape into perspective anymore, or how to use this color. They've done it. They put thousands of hours in doing that stuff. So don't really beat yourself up over it. And remember, art's supposed to be fun, really. Like, um, it's like if you ever play like a video game or a sport, you don't really, I mean, you can at a certain point, but like you don't play a video game and really think like, oh, how would a beginner do this video game? Or um, blah blah blah. Like what you're thinking about when you go into art, just you in a video game, you literally just like you turn it on and then you grab your joysticks or whatever, and then you just play the video game and you have fun with it. Like there's not, and then eventually, because you're having fun doing that, eventually you get good at the video game, and then the things like how to move a character forward, or how to like um do this like attack or this whatever. Eventually, like it gets so ingrained into your subconscious, you don't think about stuff like that. Like what used to be a difficult task, like moving your character forward and to the left, now is like it's not even a thought that crosses your mind. Um, I hope that makes sense, and I hope this video also kind of gives you some relief. Also, this rose, not mine as well. So this one I just again just found a tutorial, like a Procreate tutorial online, and just really copied line for line, layer for layer. Literally downloaded the brushes for this. So yeah, so you get like don't ever like looking at this, don't think like I was some great artist back then. This is literally just copied. Like literally just watched the tutorial and just did it. But if I were to wrap up this entire video, I would just say, um, really don't stress about how good you are. Getting good will occur as time goes on. Really just what you need to do for yourself is remember art is just a fun activity. And when you're having fun, you want to do it more, and you will do it for longer hours and for a longer duration of time. For me, my big mistake was that this was around the time that like I quit doing art, was just these aircrafts that I was just copying online. And eventually I didn't know what direction I was going in, and I kind of got bored of doing stuff like this all the time. And actually, I take that back. I really like making these aircrafts. Where I went wrong was doing like stuff like this, like the architecture stuff. Like it's cool and stuff. This one was cool. This was a long time ago, but stuff like this. But it wasn't like what I wanted to do really, and it wasn't really that fun for me. So eventually, I kind of just dropped it and moved on to other things. So yeah, just have fun. Don't stress about it too much. Thank you for watching the video.